Today, we are diving into a really powerful guide for finding true understanding, and it comes straight from classic Bodhisattva teachings. We're going to map out a path that shows you how to go from just relying on wisdom to actually embodying it.
You know that feeling, right? You're just swimming in the sea of information, and it's so hard to tell what's important and what's just noise. Well, it turns out the ancient masters dealt with the exact same thing, and they came up with a brilliant framework to find real clarity.
So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the quest for meaning itself. Then we'll build our foundation with something called the four reliances. After that, we'll see what all that work leads to, the four unhindered knowledges. And finally, we'll tie it all together with a path for your own practice.
Now, the Bodhisattva path isn't some dusty old philosophy. It's actually a super practical system for learning. It gives you the tools to cut right through all the fluff and get to the heart of what's actually true. And let's be honest, that's a skill we could all use more of today. Okay, so how do we start building this ability to see things clearly? It all begins with what are known as the four reliances. Think of them like the four pillars that hold everything up, the essential ground rules for anyone who's seriously seeking wisdom. This first one is a total game changer. It's telling us to look past the fancy language, the poetic phrasing, or even, frankly, the not-so-great delivery. The real question is, what is the core meaning here? It's all about substance over style. And the source text doesn't mince words on this. It says a bodhisattva is after the truth inside the words, not the pretty packaging of the words themselves. This basically acts as a filter, so we don't get sidetracked by intellectual flair. This next one, wow, it really encourages this kind of intellectual independence. It's saying we have to check things out for ourselves, using our own reason, not just taking someone's word for it. It literally doesn't matter if the person speaking is a world-famous master or a total nobody. The only thing that matters is, does the teaching itself make sense? And here's the payoff, right? When your belief is built on your own understanding, on reason, it's rock solid. Nobody can talk you out of a truth you've seen for yourself. Your heart just doesn't waver. So this third reliance makes a really important distinction. See, not all teachings are the same. Some are direct, crystal clear statements of truth. Others are more contextual or provisional. They were meant for a specific person or situation. This principle tells us to build our foundation on those clear, definitive teachings. The text itself gives us a heads up here. It warns that if we lean too heavily on those provisional teachings, we can end up with doubts and confusion. But by focusing on the definitive, we're building on solid ground, No more guesswork. And this last one, it might be the deepest of all. It gets at the huge difference between reading the menu and actually eating the meal. Conceptual knowledge, that's the map. It's useful, for sure. But true wisdom is the direct, lived experience of the journey itself. And that's something you can only get through practice. Because in the end, this whole path is about transformation, not just accumulating information. This quote really hammers it home. What's real, what truly matters, is the wisdom that bubbles up from your own inner work, your direct seeing of the truth. So you put these four reliances into practice day in and day out. What happens? Well, you don't just end up with a brain full of facts. You actually cultivate a whole new kind of intelligence. And this is what the teachings call the four unhindered knowledges. And there's this really beautiful flow to it. It starts with Dharma, which is just this complete mastery of all the teachings, not just memorizing, but knowing them. That leads to meaning, this deep insight into the principles behind it all. Then comes expression, the incredible skill to share that deep meaning perfectly, using just the right words for anyone. And finally, it all culminates in eloquence, this fearless, joyful, and just endless ability to explain it all. It's a journey from deep inner knowing to masterful, compassionate sharing. And listen, this isn't some kind of superpower or magic trick. The source text is crystal clear. This profound state is the natural, inevitable result of doing the work. It's a wisdom that, once you have it, is totally clear and doesn't just fade away. All right, let's bring this all together. How does this ancient map actually apply to you? Right here, right now. Well, the link between that foundation and the final result is incredibly direct and practical. It's really a three-step process. First, you build your foundation by using the four reliances as your go-to guide for learning anything. Second, you really dig in and do the work to turn what's in your head into something you know in your bones. And third, that state of clear, unhindered knowing just arises. It happens naturally.
And here's the why. This wisdom isn't just for you to keep on a shelf. The whole point of the Bodhisattva path is that this understanding becomes the very tool you use to skillfully and compassionately help other people find their own clarity. So I want to leave you with this question to think about. In your own life, with everything you're trying to learn and understand, which one of these 4 principles could you start using right now to cut through the confusion and find just a little more clarity?